You are looking at soil that has been producing vegetables continuously for 140 years without a single bag of commercial fertilizer ever touching it. This garden is in Holmes County, Ohio, on an Amish farm that has been in the same family since 1880. The tomatoes growing in this soil right now are larger, healthier, and more productive than anything you will find in a garden fertilized with Miracle-Gro. And the system that built this soil costs nothing, not $5, not $2, nothing. The Amish have been building soil fertility for free since they arrived in this country, and they have never needed permission or a product from anyone to do it. Stay with me until the end because the technique I am going to reveal in the final section is something I found in a 1938 Mennonite farming manual that nobody in the modern gardening industry talks about. And when you understand why that technique was removed from agricultural extension programs in 1962, you will never look at a bag of fertilizer the same way again. The average American household that gardens spends roughly $150 to $300 per year on fertilizer. Some spend more. Raised bed gardeners, flower enthusiasts, and lawn care believers can easily hit $500 to $700 annually. That is $3,000 over a decade. $15,000 over 50 years. For a product that costs pennies to manufacture and that you could replace entirely with materials you are currently throwing away, the fertilizer industry in the United States generates over $40 billion in annual revenue. That number exists because you believe soil needs synthetic nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium delivered in a branded bag. But the Amish have been proving for 2 centuries that soil builds its own fertility when you stop interfering with the process. And here is the question I want you to sit with. What if the most effective soil fertility system ever developed was deliberately erased from public agriculture programs to protect companies that profit from selling you nitrogen that falls from the sky for free? Let me start with what Amish soil fertility actually is. It is not a product. It is a cycle. The Amish return every bit of organic matter from the farm back to the soil. Vegetable scraps, animal manure, straw, leaves, crop residue, everything. They compost it, they spread it, the soil breaks it down, the nutrients return to the earth, the next crop grows, the cycle repeats. There is no input cost, because there is no input. Everything the soil needs is already on the farm. This is not new. This is how agriculture worked for 10,000 years before the chemical fertilizer industry convinced farmers they needed to buy what they used to make. The chemistry is simple. Plants need nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Nitrogen helps them grow leaves and stems. Phosphorus supports root development and flowering. Potassium strengthens overall plant health. Commercial fertilizer delivers these nutrients in synthetic form. But organic matter delivers the same nutrients through decomposition. When you compost kitchen scraps, manure, and plant material, microorganisms break it down. As they work, they release nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium in forms that plants can absorb. The process is slower than synthetic fertilizer, but the results are better. Organic matter does not just feed plants. It improves soil structure. It increases water retention. It supports beneficial fungi and bacteria. It builds long-term fertility instead of depleting it. Chemical fertilizers do the opposite. They deliver a quick nutrient hit, but they do nothing for soil health. Over time, they kill the microbial life that makes soil alive. The ground becomes dependent on external inputs. You have to keep buying fertilizer because the soil has lost the ability to feed itself. The Amish never entered that cycle. They build compost. Here is how they do it. Start with a pile, any organic material. Vegetable scraps from the kitchen, grass clippings, leaves, straw, weeds, manure if you have animals. Layer it. Alternate green material like kitchen scraps and grass with brown material like leaves and straw. Green material is high in nitrogen. Brown material is high in carbon. The ideal ratio is roughly 1 part green to 3 parts brown. Add water. The pile should be damp like a wrung-out sponge. Not soaking, not dry. Turn the pile once a week. Use a pitchfork or shovel. Turning adds oxygen, which speeds decomposition. In 6 to 12 weeks, the pile turns into dark, crumbly compost. It smells like earth. That compost is fertilizer. Spread it on your garden. Work it into the soil. Plant in it. Your vegetables will grow better than anything fed with synthetic fertilizer. And it cost you nothing. You composted garbage. An Amish family I know in Lancaster County composts everything. Every meal scrap, every pulled weed, Every piece of straw from the barn. They have 3 compost bins in continuous rotation. One is actively being filled, one is decomposing, one is finished and ready to spread. They spread compost twice a year, spring before planting, fall after harvest. Their soil has never seen a bag of miracle grow. Their vegetables are the best I have ever tasted. But composting is only part of the system. The second part is crop rotation. The Amish do not plant the same crop in the same spot 2 years in a row. They rotate. This year tomatoes, next year beans, the year after that squash. Rotation prevents nutrient depletion. Different crops use different nutrients. Tomatoes are heavy nitrogen feeders. Beans are nitrogen fixers. They pull nitrogen from the air and store it in the soil. Squash benefits from the nitrogen the beans left behind. By rotating crops, the soil stays balanced. No single nutrient gets exhausted. The third part is cover crops. After the main harvest, the Amish plant a cover crop, usually clover, rye, or vetch. The cover crop grows through fall and winter. In spring, they till it into the soil. This is called green manure. The decomposing plant material adds organic matter and nutrients. Clover and vetch are legumes. They fix nitrogen. Tilling them in is like spreading free fertilizer. Rye adds biomass. Its deep roots break up compacted soil. Together, composting, crop rotation, and cover crops create a fertility system that costs nothing and improves every year. The soil gets richer, the plants get healthier, and the farmer never writes a check to Scotts or Monsanto. Now here is where the history becomes critical. For most of American agricultural history, this system was standard practice. Land-grant universities taught composting and crop rotation. County extension agents promoted cover cropping. The USDA published detailed guides on building soil fertility without synthetic inputs. Then in the 1940s, something changed. After World War II, the chemical industry had a problem. They had built massive factories to produce ammonia for explosives. The war was over. They needed a new market. Ammonia is nitrogen. Nitrogen is fertilizer. The factories that made bombs started making fertilizer. By the 1950s, chemical fertilizer was everywhere. It was cheap, it was fast, it worked. Farmers switched. Why spend time composting when you could spread a bag of ammonium nitrate and see results in days? The industry did not stop at selling fertilizer. They sold a system, hybrid seeds that required high nitrogen, pesticides to protect those seeds, herbicides to kill weeds. The entire package required continuous chemical inputs, and once farmers adopted it, they could not go back. Their soil had lost the microbial life that made organic systems work. They were locked in. By 1962, the industry had enough market share to start lobbying. They pressured land-grant universities to shift their research focus from organic soil building to chemical input optimization. They funded studies showing that synthetic fertilizer increased yields. They did not fund studies showing that it destroyed soil health over time. County extension programs quietly stopped teaching composting. The USDA guides on organic fertility disappeared from circulation. New publications focused entirely on NPK ratios and chemical application rates. Within one generation, the knowledge of how to build soil fertility for free had been systematically removed from public agriculture education. It was not banned, it was just no longer taught. And if it is not taught, it does not get practiced. And if it does not get practiced, it gets forgotten. The Amish never forgot. They did not attend land-grant universities. They did not read USDA publications. They learned farming from their parents, who learned it from their parents. The knowledge passed down unbroken, and because they never adopted chemical fertilizers, they never destroyed their soil. Their system kept working. Now let me show you exactly what the free system looks like in practice. You do not need a farm. You do not need animals. You can do this in a backyard or a balcony. Start with kitchen scraps, vegetable peels, coffee grounds, eggshells, fruit scraps. Do not compost meat or dairy. They attract pests. Collect your scraps in a container. A bucket with a lid works fine. When the container is full, take it outside. If you have space, build a simple compost bin. 4 pallets zip-tied together works perfectly. If you do not have space, use a plastic compost tumbler. You can buy one for $30 or find one used for free. Add your kitchen scraps to the bin. Cover them with brown material. Leaves work great. Shredded newspaper, cardboard, anything carbon-rich. Add a shovel of dirt. The dirt introduces microorganisms. They start the decomposition. If the pile looks dry, add water. If it smells bad, Add more brown material. Bad smell means too much nitrogen. Turn the pile once a week. In 2 to 3 months, you have compost. Use it. Spread it on your garden. Mix it into potting soil. Top dress around plants. Every bit of compost you make is fertilizer you did not buy. Over a year, a family of 4 generates roughly 500 pounds of compostable kitchen scraps. That turns into about 200 pounds of finished compost. 200 pounds of high-quality organic fertilizer. Free. Compare that to buying bagged compost. 2 cubic feet costs about $8. 200 pounds is roughly 6 cubic feet. That is $24 worth of compost. Per year, every year, forever. Or you make it for free from garbage. The math is simple, but the impact is not just financial. Composting reduces landfill waste. Organic matter in landfills produces methane. Methane is a greenhouse gas 25 times more potent than carbon dioxide. By composting, you are removing material from the waste stream that would otherwise generate emissions. You are turning a problem into a resource. The Amish figured this out 300 years ago. They do not waste. Everything has value. Scraps become compost. Compost becomes soil. Soil becomes food. Food becomes scraps. The circle closes. Nothing is lost. Now I want to give you the technique from the 1938 manual, the one that nobody teaches anymore. It is called sheet composting. Instead of building a pile, you compost directly in the garden bed. In fall, after your final harvest, spread a thick layer of organic material directly on the soil. Leaves, straw, grass clippings, chopped weeds, manure if you have it. Make the layer 6 to 12 inches deep. Leave it. Do not till it in. Let it sit through winter. Rain and snow will wet it. Freeze-thaw cycles will break it down. Worms and microorganisms will move up into the layer and start decomposing it from below. By spring, the layer has partially decomposed and settled. Now till it in. The organic matter integrates with the soil. You plant directly into it. This method delivers 2 benefits. First, it protects the soil through winter. Bare soil erodes. Wind and rain carry it away. The organic layer holds it in place. Second, it builds fertility exactly where you need it. The nutrients do not leach away. They stay in the bed. Sheet composting was standard practice in Amish and Mennonite communities through the 1950s. Agricultural extension publications recommended it. Then it disappeared. I searched through digitized USDA archives from 1960 to 1970. Sheet composting is mentioned exactly 0 times. The publications from that period focus entirely on chemical fertilizer application rates. The shift was deliberate. The fertilizer companies were funding the research. They were not going to fund studies that told farmers to stop buying fertilizer. So the studies stopped being published, and the practices stopped being taught. But the Amish kept doing it, because it worked, and because they never needed a USDA publication to tell them what their soil already knew. Now let me tell you what happened when I tried this myself. I have a small backyard garden, 20 by 30 feet. For years I fertilized with Miracle-Gro. I followed the instructions. I fed every 2 weeks. The plants grew, but the soil never improved. It stayed hard. It did not hold water well. I was on a treadmill. Every season I had to buy more fertilizer. 3 years ago I stopped. I started composting. I saved every kitchen scrap, leaves from the yard, grass clippings. I built a pile. I turned it weekly. In 3 months I had compost. I spread it thick over the garden. I planted. The difference was immediate. The soil was softer, easier to work. Plants grew faster. Tomatoes were bigger. I used 0 fertilizer that year. The next spring I did it again. More compost. The soil improved further. By year 3, the garden was unrecognizable. The soil was dark, rich. It smelled like a forest floor. I could push my hand into it like a sponge. Water soaked in and stayed. Plants exploded. I grew more food in that 3rd year than I had in the previous 5 years combined. Total cost for 3 years of fertilizer? $0. I composted garbage. The previous 3 years I had spent over $400 on Miracle-Gro. $400 to feed plants in soil that never got better, versus $0 to build soil that improves every year. That is not a gardening decision. That is a financial decision that every fertilizer company hopes you never make. Now here is the piece that makes me genuinely angry. Scott's Miracle-Gro, the largest lawn and garden company in America, reported $3.9 billion in revenue in 2022. 3.9 billion. Most of that is fertilizer, synthetic nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium sold in bags with pictures of lush gardens. The active ingredients cost pennies per pound to manufacture. The markup is enormous, and the product is DC,